Hi, this is Moby. Welcome to the Fire Show. Hello, my wonderful listeners. Today, I am talking to John Robison, tech and film entrepreneur, who recently brought the New Republic Studios to Austin. In this episode, we talk about what's the convergence of tech and film and what's happening in the space to disrupt what the established players like studios are doing. Why content and how people consume content is changing and what to look forward to in the future if you are a consumer of content or a producer of content or you're a curator of content. And lastly, I asked him this wonderful question. Well, I had to because it was just, I could not do it. How did Rick Perry, former Texas governor, convince John to move his studios to Austin, to Texas, instead of China? Anyway, thank you, as always, for listening. If you want to follow up with John, it's New Republic Studios on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. If you want to hit me up and tell me how much you hate me, there is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Fire Show Podcast. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Boom.
Boom.
Hey, John.
Great to be here, Mo.
Absolutely. So, what was the pitch that Rick Perry gave you when he wanted to bring you to Texas?
It was the best pitch, the most succinct pitch ever. He goes, John, it's the creativity of LA. It's the technology of San Francisco. It's nice people. It's no state income tax. Did I say that again? No state income tax. I'm like, okay, sold. But the difference between being in California and Texas is I couldn't ever get anyone in government to even treat any of my, whether it's entertainment business or technology business, as if we mattered. We were there for their benefit. They looked at us as an ATM machine. And Texas is completely different. I mean, they would call me, I'm moved here, all this stuff, and the governor would call me, and what are you doing? Well, working, it's in the afternoon, you know. He goes, well, come over, I got an idea. And then he'd just get people on the phone and start arranging stuff. It was such a different world, so pro-business, that I loved it. And I see why a lot of the resources are here. And I started seeing the same thing would be as the convergence of content and technology get closer and closer and more intertwined. And it's not just entertainment, it's education, it's communication, it's corporate, it's all of it. I saw that as being a good sign. Hollywood is so stuck on incentives.
What kind of incentives?
Film incentives. Producers are gypsies going in search of the highest rebates or tax incentives. So they take them and a big name actor and they go and they do a thing and then they bring their staff. And Texas didn't want to do that. But everyone looks for those incentives. But as it gets closer and closer and closer to technology and television and the way it's being done, those are going to matter less and less. And then the same reason the tech companies have more employees in Austin than in California is the same reason that the contents as well. And some of the people that I just had some people in from Bangalore and some other places, things that we do, it's more of a cross-border type of program. And Texas and Austin is particularly, I think, a healthy place to do it. And so as a result of that, Texas in the content business has been a great location shoot.
And how long have you been in Austin now?
Started coming back here, got a place downtown in a high rise in the middle of the fun 8 years ago, and lived here 4 years.
And when did New Republic Studios start in Austin?
Tommy Warren had built it as Spiderwood Studios, and Tommy is a great guy, and he's a soulmate in this, and he's a good bit older than me, and he had taken it, and he's like, okay, and Perry introduced us. So I actually bought it, and then I rebranded it in 2017. It hadn't been a year yet.
So you mentioned incentives, that some people use incentives, and when you talked about the convergence of content and technology, do you see your philosophy of running a business more towards the technology side in which you have to adapt constantly? Because I heard you're also working on blockchain. What are you working on in terms of the convergence of tech and pretty much everything that is tech with content?
If you want to start with blockchain.
Let's do that.
Okay. We have my partner Morgan in the tech, and we've been looting and plundering in the tech world a long time and in Hollywood, and we were the biggest pusher of content back over a 28.8 modem playing real frame. We built tech platforms and then got the content. And so when he was looking at that, we've evolved in some of the different technologies that we've been involved in, from that to file sharing, to, BitTorrents, to things that got me sued. But blockchain is so critical, and we have our own company in the Ukraine, which is where blockchain, to keep the Russians from stealing from them. I mean, and we've created an environment. It's kind of the Austin of the Ukraine, where the best of the best and they're employees of ours, and we own everything, but they're doing it, and then they can come back and forth. And blockchain for us, we're focused right now on government, and we're focused on, why isn't government as easy as Amazon Prime? Okay, why do I care about all these different? Why can't I just get the in and out? And blockchain and another language that we've developed allow us to make it so that old Bob or old Marge in the DMV can make a wizard, which is an application, themselves with no coding experience and nothing, and it's easier to make than a PowerPoint describing what you're trying to make. And when you do that, it democratizes the need for capital. Well, this language goes in, and it's simple, and then it converts to blockchain and keeps it so you can steal it. We believe that and those types of currencies, government is a great place in the future. I believe government's going to be hosting a lot more. And therefore, the stuff we build allows, whether it's entertainment content all the way through things that support it, where creative people that are closer to the idea can make their product and plug it into a place without having to go to Silicon Valley and pay 40% of their company and then have to use coders. And it brings the idea closer to a platform to do it. And that's going to tie into we're working on some packages with blockchain for that. We're our own incentives.
So how does your outlook on technology and media, and how it relates to anything such as government or education, your outlook in the industry, which is innovative, you look at everything that's coming in, and then you hire the right resources, smart people who can do whatever they need to do in something like blockchain. How is that different from a lot of major media companies that they're stuck? Would you say a lot of them are stuck in their old perspectives?
Well, it's the old saying, I've run my whole world based on what my 90-year-old mentors, and I collected older people, and they taught me a world, and it said innovation is a great thing, because when you're innovating and you're doing it quietly, the people that you're disrupting, it's harder for them to turn the 747 around than it is you to turn a fighter jet around. And so we've always built like that, but I believe that technology and our part of it is a democratization tool, meaning not just in people making stuff, but people making content, and the media companies are stuck in two places: in an old model, and their financing mechanisms are not consistent with their output.
What does that mean?
What that means is, not to anger all my producer world, but the producers are fee whores. Okay, they're not as concerned on a ROI for the investors. They just want to make their next movie. Okay, so they've become like real estate developers that don't own anything but just fee it, and they're feeing and they're getting their money. Then they can sell the movie and basically discount it and let someone in come in and buy it, and they're getting their money out, and the investors get screwed. And it's been a model that's been hard for them to change from, because it's not, and the studios don't have any money, so who's going to be doing that? So it opens up for honest producers that make really good product. It gives them the ability to get distribution, which this is the world we play in, and all I'm looking for is now more of it. And we feel that the media industry in general, going towards multi-platform and going towards Netflix app, everyone's trying to make content. And the reason I believe that's the case is interruption advertising is going away. We know it's going away. So what are the forward-facing brands going to do to advertise? Just like and as education becomes more expensive and bricks and mortar, if you want to expand the supply of content, whether it's education, and you want to decrease the cost of delivering it, you've got to use technology.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that, it's obvious that consumers' expectations of pretty much every single technology piece they use is changing. Now, everything is on demand. I was having a conversation earlier with someone who's working on voice-activated audio ads, that they just don't give you a 30-second ad. They ask you, hey, you're interested in this, while listening to potentially a podcast, and say, would you like to hear more about this? You say yes or no, and you have a choice. The ability to make choices, people expect that now.
Well, the Alexification of everything is...
That's a great phrase.
Is inevitable. Matter of fact, my mother is a horrible driver. Sorry, Mom. Always has been. Now she's getting a little older, so that just amplifies how bad she is. So for the sake of where she lives and everyone that she would drive around, I decided she needed to get an autonomous car, or as much that would stop itself, keep her from changing lanes. All that. Well, that was a harder thing than I thought, but we got her in it. And she is so into her Alexa and so into her stuff that she comes to me after 3 levels of training, getting her used to voice activation for her phone and all that. She goes, well, why can't it just be as easy as my Alexa, where I can just say, go here, do that? And I go, well, it's not there yet, but it's going to be close. Well, she's in her 70s. 20-year-olds have an expectation that that's already there. And they have a less concern for privacy and all that stuff. They're not as aware of it. They just want it. And I believe in facilitating that. And I think there's big opportunities in how technology can help finance content. So I'm building a technology now that it's like AR, VR, but much thinner. And it makes any static logo into an actionable portal, okay, meaning, and without having to have AR, which uses every part of the phone and is very complicated. This is, like a QR code exponentially, but it's dots hidden within, and we have the patents for that. You scan on it. And what if Beyonce can launch her next album and you're paid per can, not per scan, meaning Coca-Cola does a deal and Beyonce, it's her album and it's 25 cents a can, no matter who scans it or how much, for 2 months. That allows an artist that the most they're going to make on a platinum or double platinum album is 4 to 15 million. If all of a sudden they can make 40 million, the brands that need to be forward facing, that want you to focus on their logo and want you to look at their product, can now, instead of being in product placement or being in your face or even talking to you, it's just Coca-Cola or Red Bull. They start to become, when the brand becomes the label or the brand becomes the studio, the users, it makes it easy to bring that back to where content can be paid for through advertising.
So how would people start changing their mindset? For example, if you look at music labels, film studios, people who have before owned everything, which is you come to the theater and then you watch our movie whenever we put it out. You watch our movie when we come and put it on DVD. You watch our movie when you stream it. And now the shift is what you said, which every 20-year-old wants something right now. And I could go watch your movie in the cinema, or I could just watch 20 YouTube videos, which are equally entertaining, and I like them. How do those people start letting go of their expectations of how much power they used to have?
You mean the viewers?
The film studios, people who are making the changes, yeah.
Well, that goes back to the top of my answer about how they are financed, okay, and how they make their money. They have to use that big fat model in order to be able to get their fees and then the studios, they do P&A, they do a lot of stuff to get their money closer to up front, last money in, first money out, P&A. But the television and all of that stuff is changing with how HBO's model is, because they get money from MSOs plus on demand versus a Netflix, which is subscription. So those places are learning to give the content producer more autonomy, more so than the traditional studios.
Yeah, they're getting out of the way for content producers.
You have to reduce the layers, and I just believe technology can do that. I'm not here to build a lot of big, expensive bridges. I'm here to do things that allow me to put my toll booth on top of someone else's bridge. And content is a place to go and a reason to go there. Technology is the vehicle to get it there. How you keep score. So I'm saying we may or may not have been involved in technologies that took music a long time ago. Things like Kazaa and things of that nature. You don't know what. But the whole concept was not to make money off of that. It was to get a big group of users using it, 20 million kids using it. So when you look at what else you can do with that group of people and that stack, it becomes important from a monetary standpoint of how you can move product that way and make money off of it. Okay, so that's why if you converge things that let a brand come in, because what has happened is, based on Kazaa, Napster, and everything, kids don't feel like they need, people now we're older don't feel like they need to pay for content. Okay, so if you look at the music industry, it's dying because these producers won't let go of their old label mechanism. Live Nation wants the labels gone, but if you look at it, these people came to it without thinking about how these kids that expect the content for free are going to deal with it. So in reality, 70% of the music consumed is not paid for. The record labels are fighting over that 30%. What if I could give you the content for free still?
Like I expect it, yeah.
As you expect it, but the artists were protected. You've just cut all that fat out of the situation, and it's these customer-forward brands, Coke, that are facilitating you being able to get it for free, and the artist not getting ripped off, the content developer owner making money. That's how you use technology to solve a problem that interruption advertising disappearing has created. And I would say audio advertising, where I could say this, I could say that, there's a place for that. But I certainly don't want that when I'm watching, Breaking Bad or.
True. Hey, do you want to see an ad?
Yeah. No, I don't want that. No. So the advertising in and of itself, the smart brands, I think, are finding the ways to say, how can I be the facilitator of what you want versus in your face about it, so that you feel what we call in old school marketing stroke deficit. It's like a puppy dog clothes. It's like, hey, they're the ones, I get this for free and they're the ones doing it and they're taking care of my artist. I don't even drink that stuff, but I'm going to start, you build a relationship on trust, and that's authentic. And I love the word authentic in all of this stuff. And I don't have all the answers to it, but we're willing to put stuff into how you bridge that. And I think it's going to open up the door for a whole lot more people to be able to find ways to finance content, because you said something a second ago that's important. It can even go back to reruns. I don't care whether it's a movie they spent $260 million doing or I Dream of Jeannie reruns. To me, in this platform, they have the same value. Oh, I want to do that. And so then you have other shorter form or multi-platform, and there are going to be so many opportunities with that. So that's what we are doing at our studios, also creating an environment for influencers and people and multi-platform to come and to have a place where they can, and I'm on the board of the Austin Film Society, and we own Austin Public, and that's a layered farm team of, we can train you to make content as a kid, and you can get cameras for free and go play with it and get all the way up through programs and then through the universities. And once you get a following or you get stuff, we can provide you space and resources to make stuff. I think it's going to take, now, as a businessman, what do I get out of that? Well, I get to own a big chunk of that content. Mm-hmm. It's a library. It's an annuity. And
it's important to, something you mentioned right now, which is giving people the video cameras, getting them started on whatever they want to do and getting out of the way. That's important. That's what we do over here too. But something you said before that, which was extremely interesting, when you give people what they want as brands, that becomes the whole experience and they care about you more. For example, you mentioned that you went to Westworld. You didn't pay for it, you just had a badge, and it was a 2-hour, 3-hour extravaganza. regardless of how you feel about the show, they let you in and made you experience some part of one they wanted to give you.
And tried to kill me and insult me and did all the things I like.
Oh, welcome to life. Yeah. Yes. That kind of bringing people into the experience of something and making them feel part of it rather than saying, hey, you like this? Buy my stuff. Buy my stuff. Yeah, no one's going to listen.
People don't want that. Let's look at A Tale of Two Cities. Traditional television, a pitch person for the brand. Okay, they're out there. I'm Bryan Cranston and I'm da-da-da, and this is my product, my shaver, my coat, whatever, you know. And then you see them on the street drinking something else. Okay, there's not an authentic thing there. Whereas with influencers, the influencers haven't made money. They're getting multi-million views and they're doing, but they haven't monetized it. There's a couple other reasons. But when brands come to an influencer and get them to do that stuff the wrong way, their fans go away because it's not authentic. He doesn't drink that. That's bullshit. He doesn't know how to drink. So,
it's just an ad.
Yeah, but it's however you get to authentic. So a paid pitch person going into a influencer world is never going to work. It's not authentic. It can't work. You know who's behind the curtain, and you feel like you're being sold to and preached to, and you don't want it. I want the choice to be mine. Like you said, we want to make choices. I want to feel like I made the choice to support Altoids or Coke or some version of a green fluid.
There's 20 of them out there, yeah.
I want to make the decision that they did that because that brand kind of agrees with things I care about. Okay, Red Bull and extreme sports. You know, brands are going to start finding ways, utilizing tools like that. You know, if you look at the traditional model, you know Live Nation, okay? And you know Ticketmaster. Why did they have to go back together in the shotgun marriage? Because Live Nation, which is the venues and the artists, they put stuff out there where the musicians and the bands come into the venues, and that's how they're going to make their money, off of the placement and the stuff in there. But the reason that they got out of the ticketing business a long time ago was because it's hard to collect the funds and all that. So they went back in and had to shotgun with Ticketmaster. But what they did was lost all. Now Ticketmaster controls knowing who the data is and the client, the customer, the name, who they are, what. Live Nation is now like, they're driving us crazy. Yeah. So if you could take and allow that to get closer to where the artist and the venue, the brands coming in, this same thing, it has an engine. You can download music into it. You get your music. Maybe it's for free for a little bit, or maybe you get to put it in your library. It depends on what the artist wants or any other content. You move that in to this platform. What else does it become? A ticketing system. You just don't, you can disintermediate the layers, and this type of technology does it. So my goal is who pays for it. And I just think that that's going to be something for the next time that works, and it feels authenticity, and those brands that catch that quicker are going to be rewarded.
Yes, absolutely. So that we can actually trust those brands. A small example, when you were mentioning about brands working together and layers, Shazam, that app, very simple to use. And the best thing about that is once I know the song, there's a button. There's 5 buttons which let me go to the exact music player I want for that song. And that's it. And that is such an easy app for me to use. I use it for 10 seconds a month, but that app is everywhere. And it makes me trust it. They are in it not just to get, well, they're in it to make money, but they want to make my life easier for whatever problem to solve.
They provide an authentic service, and it's something as you get older, you have, like, I can't remember, what's that song? It helps me. That's what it is. But also, it's making it easier for me to go from here to there. And so that's what I'm talking about with our Visit Dot. It pulls and controls the content coming into that medium, and then you can share it with any of your platforms, and you can pick it, and it'll do it automatically. But what we're also trying to do is make that platform in and of itself. It's just easier to do that. It'll mimic. It's so easy for us to make it, any of the other things, but you're also keeping the data and helping the brands with it. And traditional advertising throws it out there, but they don't know who's seeing it, and they don't know all that information. And ad agencies and the networks for years have tried to keep that from happening because they can't use ratings to sell inflated values. If you And like in the cable business, it's worse. They pay per household, the MSOs, and they're like, the brands are like, yeah, but 7 people were watching it. Yeah, Uverse has gazillion million people, but how many are actually watching Log Cabin Masters? And what's my thing? And so the math doesn't work there if they unveil the true data. And so for the brands, they want that, but it's been impossible. What we're doing now is allowing them to go and to provide. They can afford to pay that much for 2 months for a thing because it's cheaper than a traditional ad campaign would be. It's turning it around. It's that evolution I just feel strongly is kind of the way to go, and that's what we focus on.
And one last, about talking about that evolution, which is before, if you see a billboard, there's no way to tell if you have a billboard, there's no way to tell if someone bought it or not. Now, one of my friends, Tom, he just got into Techstars for a company, Locus Tracking, plug. It tracks your eye whenever you're looking at advertisements, and that's how far we've come because companies, brands want to pay for exact conversions.
We have that stuff, and we own some ice. I'm kind of the Sanford and Son of have been Qualcomm for a long time doing that stuff, and we were playing with that stuff in the labs a long time ago. And there's some other issues.
I can imagine.
For defense purposes, like people say, I can have the billboard recognize and track and contextual awareness, which, by the way, we can open source. You can build what those guys are doing and just plug into a system that Qualcomm has and use it, But let's talk about an example of, let's say I'm walking past a billboard or a window or this thing, and it has sensors, and it reads me, and it can invite me in, and it can know all this stuff about me. There's some pushback to that because of security. You know how they won't let you smile on your passport anymore and all, because it's the facial recognition points and all of that stuff. And there's just a security concern from some of that. Yeah, that's really what stopped more of that from happening for brands. But I won't elaborate on it, but therein lies the roadblock.
Yes. So where can people go and find more about you and your work and everything you're working on? Just put out like 20 Twitter handles or one,
Boy for Porn at Hotmail, MALE. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait.
That used to be mine.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
Thought I was on another show. Anyway, newrepublicsstudios.com. And for me, I think my Instagram is Johnny Towel Boy. I don't go to it that much. Towel Boy, like TOWELBOY. That goes back to the 12th Man towels. But I don't put a lot of my data out there. I'm not a person that deals, except for the studio, with press, because I don't like people knowing what we're doing in the tech world. So some of our GovWiz, which is a company you'll hear about, the website, you won't find anything about it. It's in stealth. But other products that we're making, as they become and as we brand them, they go out and they have their mindset. But I don't have a thing that says this is the way. I used to have a fund a long time. I don't do that stuff. I like to kind of remain under the radar so I can go find good techs and buy them cheaply. But New Republic Studios there's been some articles and some stuff on that I like to share, and I like to promote that.
Sounds good.
And Texas and creatives and, this whole world we're building here.
This whole world. Thank you so much for joining us. This was a pleasure.